Hey, welcome everybody. It's Career Happy Hour. You see the hashtag up there, I'm sure. I'm Andrew Beach. I'm an executive career coach. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster. That's whether you're working or not. I do that through a professional branded networking process. That's why my handle here on LinkedIn is Branding Dynamo. So we're talking professional, personal branding. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them in the chat over here on the side. Happy to answer. Consider this free career coaching. Every Friday, 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, I will be right here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, and my Facebook group, Finding Jobs Fast Without a Resume, because we know what resumes are used for. In any event, welcome everybody. I wanted to wish you a happy new year. It is the new year. And if you hear a cock-a-doodle-doo in the background, that's because we have a resident pair of roosters that live just up the street from us. So it'll be wonderful to see how many people can actually hear the rooster in today's live stream. So I don't actually control any of that, but if you do have any kind of question, just go ahead and leave that over on the side here. I'm happy to answer for you. Today's topic, and I'm going to share a little bit of training today. I'm still recovering a little bit from a respiratory cold, cough, flu. In fact, let me know where you're joining from. I'm in obviously Portland, Oregon, in the home studio today, so I'm going to grab a little sip here. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I am in recovery, if you know what I mean. So I want to make sure that I communicate well to you today's topic. So just a question for you. How do you get in 2020 farther, faster in your career? How do you get farther, faster in your career? Now, what you'll see up at the top here is that there's actually a post here for free training. There is a survey that I'm conducting that will allow you to actually get access to a lot of the information that I'm going to share today and throughout all of these different sessions that I've put together for you for live streaming here today. But go ahead and let me know what questions you have. I've put that survey there because I want to get your perspective. What is the challenge that you're having to get farther, faster in your career? And that's what I want to cover today. So let's jump into the topic and just get right to it. First of all, the thing that came into my mind as I was meeting with a coaching client yesterday is this idea of trust. And everybody is looking for trust in an organization, from an organization, but we don't control that side of the equation always. And the question I had for this coaching client is, how do you give trust? What things could you do to actually give trust to others? In return, hopefully, they'll give you trust back. The only part of the equation you control, of course, is yourself and your own actions. So I started thinking through all the things in collaboration with this client that she could do or has done to give trust to other people. What is that for you? What have you done to give trust to other people? If you could let me know in the chat, let me know where you're joining from. Go ahead and share this actually with your network. It's super easy to do that right here on LinkedIn. So if you have a chance, go ahead and share this broadcast with your network so we can get more people involved in the process. So there you go. So the link is in there. You can click that link, take that survey. But go ahead and share. It's right down at the bottom of the screen. Actually, it's right there. You can hit the share button and share it with your network. Depends on, of course, where you're joining us from. But in any event, let's go ahead and look at today's series of things you can do to get farther, faster in your career by giving someone else trust. The first thing I kept thinking about is, how could I give somebody something in terms of sacrificing from self? Meaning I display or I give trust to somebody when I sacrifice myself. Meaning, hey, if it's for my comfort, then it's for my interest. If it's for my discomfort, it's not. And I kept thinking about the things that I have done, to go out of my way to introduce somebody, to do work for somebody, even though they could do it and were capable of doing it, but maybe were backed up in their workload. What ways can you think of to actually, give trust in that way? What ways have you done that? Share some of those in the chat, if you would, for me, please, just so I know what it is that you're thinking about today, what's on your mind. You can use the hashtag Career Happy Hour, and we'll share all of these in the chat so we can have a good collaboration here. The second thing I thought about giving trust, personally speaking, is being consistent. So let's use this actual live stream as an example. I've made a commitment to do this every Friday, and sometimes I haven't been in the office. Sometimes I haven't been in good health. I've had a cough or a sore throat, or I was sick. But guess what? I was still here. What does that mean? That means I'm walking the talk. If I want to be consistent and display trust to you as a viewer, I need to show up here every Friday at 3 o'clock like I said I would. If I don't, then that reflects on me, and therefore I'm now out of consistency and I lose trust with you. That's not a good sign. Not a good sign. So to build trust with others, we first sacrifice from self for someone else. Second, consistency. Walk the talk. Make sure that you're displaying and doing all the things you said you would do. The third thing I thought about was, and it's kind of a companion to consistency, and some people often get these two confused, I know I do, is what is the difference between consistency and integrity? Well, consistency is repeatedly doing things over and over so that I build familiarity with someone else. Integrity is, hey, I'm honest, I'm truthful, I am who I say I am, so there's a consistency component inside of integrity. But really, integrity is about telling the truth, being honest, and doing that in a way, certainly that can be tough, but diplomatic. I like that phrase, tough, but diplomatic. That means that I can communicate to you that, hey, this is something you might want to consider doing. In fact, I used that approach with a little bit of snark yesterday with someone who had reached out and asked to connect with me on LinkedIn. They didn't give me any reason, and so I sent back to them, and I could see from their profile that they espoused to be a LinkedIn lead generation professional specialist expert. And so I said, okay, great. Tell me why you want to connect. That's all I asked. Of course, I said it in a snarky way, so that probably wasn't the best thing to say, and I shared that with my wife, and she said, yeah, you were a little snarky, kind of being a jerk. And really, that comes from the people that reach out to me are not coming at me from a position of integrity. They're coming from a position of self-interest. So they're breaking rule number 1, right? Self-sacrifice. And number 3, they're not coming to me with truth. They're coming to me with, hey, let's connect. And then all of a sudden they go to third base with a request for buy something from me. And it's just not the way that I guess I've been brought up to build trust with others. What we know is if you want to go farther, faster in your career, you need trust. You need trusting relationships that you develop, in advance of an opportunity, whether that's a promotion or a job that you're seeking. It's building trust during a networking process. In fact, if you go to the website for jobseekersradio.com, you'll see the link to that in the screen here. 2 things. One, we just released this last Wednesday, a new episode of Job Seekers Radio. Yes, we released an episode on Christmas. No, it wasn't about Christmas. It was about the role of culture in your career. The corporate culture really makes a difference, and knowing what that is and what kinds of cultures you thrive in is a topic that Scott and I dove into pretty extensively on that episode. The second one is going to be released this next Wednesday, and that is, what expectations do you have of networking? Often, we don't know. We have varying expectations on what networking can or cannot do for us. So take a look at that. So that's the podcast. But the idea behind the telling of the truth is that we always talk about in a networking process, which we have cataloged in what's called the Anatomy of a Networking Conversation. You can download it's an ebook. It's free. You just plop your little email in there at jobseekersradio.com, and you'll see it. It's all over the website. And you'll get this ebook. And this ebook actually walks you through the process of effective networking and what things to consider and how do you build trust. Well, you build trust by doing all the things that we talk about on the screen, by sacrificing self. When I'm networking for a job, am I talking about me? Well, maybe a little bit, but not a lot. I'm not making the whole conversation about me, my need for employment, how somebody did me wrong, whatever. But anyway, that's what I'm focused on. So the Anatomy of a Networking Conversation ebook also comes with the associated episodes that are related to that side of things. So there's the companion audio with the audio book. For some reason, I'm not seeing the chat here. So if somebody could plop something in the chat, for some reason I'm not seeing it here on LinkedIn. There we go. I think there my chat popped up. Let's see here. Hey, Byron, good to have you. Thanks for giving me a thumbs up. There's a handful of you here. If you could just go down to the link below where it says share. Share this with your network. I want to expand this. My goal in 2020 is to get hundreds of people watching this session, asking their coaching questions, getting coaching answers, because this is free coaching for you every Friday at 3 o'clock. I want you to take full advantage of this. So if you could please just click the little share button down below, and I would love for more people to be involved. So here's the fourth component, transparency. One of the conversations I had with this coaching client yesterday about giving trust is she was not getting trust in terms of transparency, meaning the leadership was not giving her or revealing all the information unless she asked for it specifically, not just, hey, I need more information about my job or about this task. They wanted her to ask specifically, what information do you need? Rather than just revealing all the information, being transparent. It's one of the things back in the day, one of the companies I worked for, I think it was actually Columbia Sportswear, but don't take my word for it. I remember back in the day before Columbia Sportswear was public, they used to broadcast or at least distribute the financials. Everybody knew where the company stood. And that was for a private organization, which isn't always something that companies do in that situation. So what I appreciated about that is that the company trusted me enough to reveal all that information. Okay, so the way that we give trust is also reveal information to others that we might think is self-serving. Okay, so if it's self-serving, for example, I see this a lot with job seekers that are both out of work or going for the same position. They feel like, I don't need to be transparent with a person I know that's going for the same job. Why would you not? Okay, you build trust with that individual by revealing maybe some of the interview questions you had, if you could, right? Sometimes you sign a non-disclosure, I get that. But the idea here is I build trust with others, and that's on my side, if I reveal all the information, open hands. If someone called and asked me, how do you do X, or what are you doing in your business to coach others, or how are you building X, Y, and Z, I would just tell them. If it's not something that's going to reveal confidential information of my clients, then yeah, I'm going to tell them exactly the things that they need to do or know, or how I do things so that they can get better. Now, what does that reflect on me? That reflects on me open hands. I'm a firm believer in open hands, meaning, hey, if you want to ask me a question, go ahead. I will answer it. That's why I'm here. Free career coaching. Put your question in the chat. I'm sure you've got some question about your career. Okay, so that's the first four things. Action, self-sacrifice. Consistency, meaning you walk the talk. Integrity, telling the truth and being honest. And fourth, transparency, revealing information with open hands. And then there's the fifth component, and that's what I would call authentic compliment. I had a client actually give me a compliment to somebody else in my presence. What does that do for me? Well, I'm not, I don't know if you've read the 5 love languages, but that's something I would recommend. In fact, I'll put that in the chat. 5, I think is it Gary something or other? Gary Chapman? Is that right? I think this is a beautiful book. I think it's Chapman. I'll put it in the chat. But he identifies these 5 love languages that everybody feels good about, right? So if there's something that happens and you feel good about it, that's probably your love language. Okay, for me, it's quality time. I love spending quality time, just like in this live stream. I love spending quality time with you. That's why I want you to ask questions, okay? So that's one of the love languages. But words of affirmation is not a love language for me. But it is a trust builder, meaning if someone gives an authentic compliment, they are sacrificing themselves to honor somebody else. So they're hitting a number of the different components here on building trust with others is by giving an authentic compliment to somebody else. When you have nothing to gain, what does that say about you? That says that you are not a person out for yourself. You're here to contribute, okay? And that's a great way to recognize people, whether you're in their presence or not. You can do this with your kids. You can do this with family, friends, coworkers. You know, recognize something in somebody else and give them an authentic compliment. If somebody is really good at data analytics and they just did something that blew your mind, just say, hey, you know what? I think so-and-so is really good. They do a great job at data analytics, and they blew my mind in this way. Hey, that's the way to do it. Let's see. Hey, Joel, good to see you. Welcome. Welcome to Career Happy Hour. Go ahead and use that hashtag when you leave any kind of questions here. So Joel asks, glad you brought this point. How can I provide value in return to people whom I connect on LinkedIn for job searching and learn about their situation? Yeah. So part of the process that you come to somebody with when you reach out and connect on LinkedIn is positions of common interest. So, for example, it looks like, Joel, you're a mechanical engineer. Well, there's probably something you have fascination about around mechanical engineering. Maybe that's process improvement. Maybe that's root cause analysis. Whatever it is, if you find somebody on the web that also has posted things or maybe presented themselves as somebody who loves root cause analysis and seems to be really good at it, give them an authentic compliment. Hey, I see you have some great experience doing root cause analysis. I too have similar interest in that category and would love to share best practices. Let's talk offline. So part of LinkedIn is great because you get to have a profile and you get to see everybody else's profile. But the other side of LinkedIn is it's a conversation starter. It's an opportunity for you to reach out and have a dialogue with a human being. That's huge. And don't overlook the value that networking conversation will have in performing well on interviews, in building trust. Part of this might be understanding, developing understanding. So the other book I'll recommend, and I mentioned this earlier, is Covey's 7 Habits. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I had to get the audiobook, honestly, because I couldn't read his prose. Is just terrible, in my opinion. I could not consume his prose. It took too much effort on my side, so I got the audiobook, and I got it. Excuse me, that's Covey. I put Covery. Covey talks about seek first to understand, okay? Begin with the end in mind. First things first. So a lot of the habits that he talks about are directly translatable to networking. And I would implement all of those components in any networking that I do. And it's actually not only highly effective people, but highly effective leaders follow those 7 habits as well. And you can just do a Google search and find the book. get it from the library or download a Kindle version or grab Audible. That's one of the ones that I like. So thanks for the question, Joel. Hopefully it answers what you say. Let me go take a peek at your profile here, Joel. Hey, PA, up in the PA. Ah, okay. Joel. Let me see what it says here. Okay, so you just come out of college, looks like, yeah? Just out of college, handful of years experience. Good. Yeah, so I mean, everybody check out Joel's profile. He's here in the chat. I think it'd be really valuable for everybody, whether you're here to learn or here to make contribution, that everybody interact with each other. So I would encourage you to go and check out Joel's profile. Hey, Vaughn, good to see you. All right, folks. Hey, I'm going to sign off here in a minute, so I want to give you an opportunity to get any of your career answers, career questions answered. Okay, graduated 2016. So you're in the market, Joel? Let me know in the chat. What are you seeking? And we'll get everybody to help you out. In fact, I may know people in mechanical engineering. Let me know. I'm happy to make introductions to people in my network. So, the other thing I have to admit is that this was a couple of weeks that were really quiet. And, you know, the interesting thing is it wasn't really quiet. A lot of people these last 2 weeks have reached out to me because they're prepping for 2020. They're in a position where they want to do well. So, I mean, if you go back through my streams, you'll see some information on starting off 2020. I do want to also put in the chat here information about the survey. So please take that survey, get on the list, because I have a free training coming this month, later in the month, probably second, third week in the month, where I'm going to do it on a topic that you choose, not one that I choose. So if you can give me some input, complete the survey, I'd really appreciate that. Now, if you have any questions at all, leave them in the chat, use the hashtag #CareerHappyHour, and I will be happy to answer. I follow that hashtag and would be happy to provide you any support that I can. I hope you're well. I hope you have a great weekend. And as always, happy networking.